Hello, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Erica Mance, and we're gonna do a book review today. A speedy book review because I need to go to Philly and things are moving faster than intended, which is fine because one of the books I just don't have much to say about it. But anyway, if you missed the first book review, go watch it. Basically, PewDiePie has this little book club going on, and unfortunately I didn't reach my goals last year in regards to like how many books I want to read. So this year I'm kind of really not forcefully, but disciplining myself to make sure I complete my goal. So I joined PewDiePie's book club, but I'm also doing an extra book. So 2 books a month. The 2 books that the book that PewDiePie picked was In the Buddha's Words by Bhikkhu Bodhi, and what I picked was War Against All Puerto Ricans, Revolution and Terror in America's Colony by Nelson A. Dennis. I didn't have time to go pick up my next book from the library, so just a disclosure there. I'll still put what I'm reading towards the end of the video. In the Buddha's Words was rough. It was a rough book because I had to do it via Audible, and I just learned from that book that I'm not good with the Audible. I do not like it. I need the book physically in my hand, so it was very hard for me to not just make it white noise, but I tried my best. Sometimes I would basically repeat what the guy was saying so that it would feel like I was reading. It's not that it was a bad book. Oh my god, I thought I wasn't recording. I don't think I have much battery left. It's like Buddha's teachings, I guess, a collection of his scriptures and how he did things. And I definitely remember a few things that I enjoyed about hearing, like in the Audible. It's just talking about nature of suffering. It would give a lot of examples of how to live a path to enlightenment and how you have to get rid of like the toxins in life, which is drinking and stealing and things like that. Sorry, I haven't had a chance to clean out the camera, so I had like no time to record, so that was a weird cutoff. But yeah, it spoke a lot about meditation, which is something I need to work on, along with getting back into yoga. That's a personal side quest. Wisdom and ethics and how to live life according to like the Buddha's teaching. It's not an easy read. I don't think it's an easy read. Even if I had it, even though it's modernized, it still provides a lot of historical context on the Buddha's teachings, along with his makings of wisdom. But it's still, I don't think it's that modern. I think, Buddha is such a everlasting thing that I think it could be a little bit more modernized, but it does break down into simple things: nature of suffering, like the path to enlightenment, how to get to enlightenment, what to give up, working on meditation, working on, being the best version of you, type of thing. A lot of what I also appreciated is like the detachment of, I want to say materials, but like basically to want is to suffer. So anything you want in life is basically leading to suffer. So basically how to live life without wanting things, I guess. I don't know, maybe I'm misunderstanding that, or misexplaining. Overcome suffering in general and essentially reach nirvana. Now, Nirvana is an interesting concept. I don't want to get too into that, but I feel like if I were to associate with any religion, I think Buddhism would probably be the one that I would kind of resonate with the most. But it was an interesting book. I wish, although I think I would have struggled even if I had a physical copy, I still think that I would have probably understood it more or enjoyed it more, because the Audible is just not for me. Audible is just not for everybody, and that's totally okay. So maybe one day I will come back to this book. Maybe I'll come back to it in a year when I'm like more invested in reading. If I could find a physical copy, I'll reread it. But Audible ain't it. That I chose is War Against All Puerto Ricans, Revolution and Terror in America's Colony. I mean, I don't know how obvious it can get. If you followed me enough, you would know that I am Puerto Rican, and I'm definitely like a no sabo kid, but like a no sabo kid with ambition. I'm really trying to work on my Spanish. The only issue I really have is speaking. But reading and writing, I'm not that bad at. And then also just knowing history and visiting the island, I'm good at that stuff. It's just speaking. There's something that just makes me so scared to talk, because I know I don't have the proper accent or whatever when it comes to talking Spanish. With everything happening in the United States today, I can't help but really reflect, and especially after Bad Bunny's album, there was definitely an influx of Puerto Rican culture on my timeline, and just a lot of just Puerto Rican I'm not complaining, but it just gave me that energy again to just be like, oh my god, like I still love learning about this island and how resilient it is and how rich it is in history, and but also there's so much dark shit that happened on that island. You know, even till this day, there's so much history, but even till this day, Puerto Rico still is going through, it is called a Commonwealth, but it is technically, when you boil it down to the simplicity, it is a colony. Regardless of if you're a No Sabo kid, a freaking, like you're straight off the island type of thing, regardless, I think all of us are connected and to the island, whether we choose to feel it or not. I think we all carry scars, even if a lot of this shit happened to me before I was even born. I feel that if I did have, oh my god, I think I'm like overthinking it. I'm having trouble explaining this book because I feel so much and it's so hard to break down. So much going on in my head. Let me go off my notes, go back to the book. Let me not go too much into my personal feelings, but basically it explores the struggles of Puerto Rico and the United States of America, right? Because before Puerto Rico was America's colony, it was Spain's, right? So we were getting handed around like hot potatoes. And basically it's focusing on the 1950s and the Puerto Rican independence movement. So a lot of people question why Puerto Ricans are so obsessed with their flag. It's called the gag law. There was one point where we couldn't even fly the flag. It was crazy. And it was really, you would get in so much trouble and in the worst conditions of like jail or whatever the hell. It would basically, the book is a detailed, and I like the way it was written because it's historical, but the way the author kind of intertwines all of the chapters, all of the people, it flows really nicely, even though it's horrific what I'm reading about, but I thought it was very engaging. It wasn't just this like boring historical thing. Like it was very, like you were caught in there. But basically, it's a book of violent repression, I guess, of Puerto Ricans who wanted independence. It was particularly against like the nationalist party in Puerto Rico. It was weird because of that nationalist movement or communist or socialist, it was all under the same thing. It was all bad. It's like nationalist bad, socialism bad, communist bad. So you didn't want to get caught up in that when you were in Puerto Rico in the 1950s, because the United States of America would like ruled Puerto Rico with an iron fist, straight up. You couldn't do shit, but they really controlled it in such sickening ways. I mean, the fuck is that? I just heard something outside. It was basically systematic oppression, and it showed a lot of highlights on the USA's very violent response to Puerto Ricans. Honestly, I literally studied genocide in college, and I'm not saying, I don't want to throw that word around because I know it's rough, but the only other time I've seen, not only other time, but like what they were doing to Puerto Ricans is similar to what was happening in like the Holocaust and shit, in regards to like torturing people, and it was just horrible. They would basically use terror. They would do mass arrests. They would torture people. They would suppress anyone who had any political opinions. And even through all of this violent repression, people still fought. People were like going out brutally. It's just rough. When people would see this stuff, people would get treated horribly. Puerto Rico was basically such a threat to such a threat, right? Just like the Black Panthers or the women's what was it called when the women's rights movement women's liberation movement. You gotta, J. Edgar Hoover was loved. He loved killing people. He loved, like, just in general, like, it's so crazy how that man was just doing the most. So I mean, it's brutal. It's a brutal history. Let me get some water. You should drink some water too. It's just heartbreaking. It's really sad to see how people were treated not even 100 years ago. This is not even that long ago, I'm telling you. And then you see what's happening today. Like, you see what's happening in Puerto Rico. You read about this, and then it just pisses me off. Till this day, there is still that issue with people who want independency and people who want to be the 51st state. It's definitely an issue that will probably never be resolved because the United States has us just where they want us. You know what I mean? If I learned anything from this book, is like, we could be resilient. You know what I mean? Like, they're okay with us being resilient, but we'll never get that power over the island. Like, I really am convinced, because I'm just like, dude. Yo, what I was learning, I don't want to get too into details with this book because I feel like this is already going to be suppressed because I already mentioned that other word. But I think if you're Puerto Rican, or if you're just interested in history, because this is not just Puerto Rican history, it is American history, it's the United States history as well. This is like the dark side that no one really wants to talk about in regards to how our government actively attacked its own citizens. Like, that's exactly what it is. It's probably the only time the United States attacked its own citizens. There is still a lot of mystery in regards to like what happened in Puerto Rico, because a lot of things were top secret. For example, women were getting treated with like birth control. Like, we were lab rats too. It's crazy, and no one really wants to talk about this. This is just all swept under the rug. But from the gag law to terror to the brave men and women who stood up for Puerto Rico's independence, for our right to fly the flag, to speak Spanish, to learn our history and learn our culture, and to fight as to why the United States owns so much land in fucking Puerto Rico and all the island. You know what I mean? Like, it's just frustrating. And it's very disappointing. I live in America. I live in the United States. I literally am American, but of course my background is Puerto Rican, and to know that all of this is happening, and I don't want to say it's happening till this day, but we still are a colony, and right now they're like privatizing the beachfronts in Puerto Rico, and we have people like Logan Paul and the other Paul, what was the other one, Jake Paul, saying they're Puerto Rican. Like, ew. All right. We don't want you there. But it's definitely a good read. I mean, it's a rough read, but I certainly recommend. Other than that, like, I don't not recommend PewDiePie's book. I'm just saying it's a little rough to get through. Like, this is not as rough. It's very straightforward. Whereas in the Buddha's words, it's very, I don't want to say dry, but Anyway, but that's my book review. I'm sorry. I'm a little like rushy right now because I know I have to go, and I've been recording for some time. Future me will show the books that I'm reading for this month, and yeah, let me know what, if you're not joining my book club or PewDiePie's, that's totally fine. Share what book you're reading down below, or what book you think I should read. Definitely wouldn't mind looking into it. And then I hope you are all doing well. Drink water, stretch, enjoy your day. I'm so thirsty.